Hey Fae folk, welcome back to another Dolls I Don't Want video. As the name suggests, this is where I talk about dolls that have either come out recently or are going to be coming out soon that I don't want for one reason or another. Sometimes it's simply price, we're on a budget. Sometimes things are too expensive. Sometimes I think a doll is really cool, but I just don't really feel like I need to own it. And sometimes I absolutely hate a doll for one reason or another. And this is just a little series that I do where I can get all of those thoughts out on the air because I am, in fact, a yapper. So we are going to be jumping in with Monster High today. I will say we are going to be going pretty quickly through that section just because all of the Monster High dolls that I have to discuss today are dolls that I've already discussed at length in other videos. But there were enough dolls from brands other than Monster High that I haven't talked about that I've just got so many feelings on that I thought a Dolls I Don't Want video was still merited. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in. Starting off with the trio of Universal Monsters collectors, they did get their own dedicated video as I said before, so I'll link that above if you want to see all my thoughts on these, again, much more in depth if you haven't seen that before. When it comes to this first one though, the Mummy, I like aspects of the doll, namely the face, and I think that with some zhuzhing up, the outfit could be really fun, but because I don't like everything as it is, because this is a doll that I would definitely want to do some decently serious customization to in order to be happy with her, I don't want her for now. I would like to grab this one on a sale. I'm really hoping that these dolls last long enough to go on sale, because I want her, I just don't want to pay the $40 or something like that. No thank you. Very similar feelings for the Dracula doll. I love vampires in general, and specifically I do love Dracula, but this is a doll that I really enjoy the base doll. I just don't think the outfit is giving what I want it to give. So again, if this goes on sale, would happily grab her so that I can redress her, but I'm not paying full price for her. And of course, we are rounding out the trio with Frankenstein, who my main gripe is that I feel like the elements that make this doll noticeably a Frankenstein doll, being the neck bolts and also some of the stitching on their body, are sort of hidden. There's stitching on the forehead that's hidden by bangs, and because of the chunky silver necklace right by the chunky silver neck bolts, I feel like I don't even notice the neck bolts at first glance. So this was another one that I was not really necessarily vibing with, but I was still open to the possibility of treating it sort of like the Mummy and like Dracula and saying, oh, well, I'll get them on sale, maybe customize them up a bit and then I'll like them more. However, after seeing reviews and seeing the quality of the clothing, this one's just a flat out no for me. The rest of the Monster High dolls for this video were all introduced at San Diego Comic-Con, and therefore I did cover them all in my San Diego Comic-Con reaction video. So once again, I will link that above if you want to hear more in-depth thoughts. But we are starting off with the Nightmare Before Christmas Oogie Boogie Collector. While I do think that this is fun and interesting, and I'm just glad to see something creative coming from the Collector line, it's just really not for me. I was a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan as a kid, and I've just not really felt the same love for it into adulthood. And even beyond that, Oogie Boogie was always a character that genuinely freaked me out, so this was just never going to be a doll that I was drawn to. The Michael Myers Collector doll, I actually think looks incredible. I personally find this to be a really fun, really well-designed doll that objectively I do like. However, I am not really a horror person, and I've never seen any of the Halloween movies, and it's just something that I'm perfectly fine with admiring from afar. I'm so glad that for Halloween fans this exists because I think it's really cool, but I have absolutely no compulsion to own the doll. And lastly, for both Monster High and the San Diego Comic-Con reveals, we have the Dawn of the Dance reproductions. We are only going to be covering 3 of them in this video because I desperately want the Laguna, and I also really like how the Cleo turned out. So as for the ones that I don't plan on getting, first of all is Claudine, not because of her design, but because I actually do have the original doll, so I'm personally okay with not having the reproduction as well. Next up is the Frankie, and if you've been here before, you probably know I'm just not a fan of G1 Frankie, so obviously I wasn't going to want this doll. And then lastly is the Draculaura. Now I do need to note this is not a stock photo of the Creep Productions. Claudine and Frankie were both these are the Creep Production stock photos. This is just the original stock photo for Dawn of the Dance Draculaura because I couldn't find one for the reproduction. The point still stands. She's fine. She's just like the design doesn't really speak to me. So it's not that I hate her or anything. She's just not a doll that I've ever even considered wanting to buy, and her having a reproduction isn't going to change that. Moving on to Bratz, this core reimagined lineup is the last thing in today's video that I have already spoken on. So again, we're going to be brief, especially considering I quite literally will have just posted a video where I really dissected these dolls. So just suffice to say that I don't necessarily think these are terrible designs, and in fact, I would like to add all 4 of these dolls to my collection at some point, but I will not be paying $30 a piece for them. Now, the Bratz Tyla doll really almost did not make it onto this list. I debated for what felt like forever about whether I wanted to get her or not. I flip-flopped back and forth so many times, but I did end up deciding not to get the doll. Now, I will say, I don't know anything about Tyla. I'm not good with celebrities and musicians and stuff like that. Like, I'm just so bad at keeping up in that regard. So I was looking at this purely as a Bratz doll, right? Like, it wasn't as though I had any connection to the artist they're collabing with. And looking at it, it was just, the outfits are decent to me. I do like the pieces that she comes with, but none of them were a super standout. The thing that made me want this doll so badly was the hairstyle. I just think this braided hairstyle, one, is so beautiful. Like, it looks so pretty and it's so well executed on the doll, but I also feel like this is almost like a little bit of a piece of Bratz history, because I don't think they've ever done braids like this where it's like rooted into the hair as like braids. I'm describing this very poorly, but hopefully y'all know what I mean. And I just love the base doll so much. Her face is also absolutely gorgeous, but it was mainly the hair that I was really into, and that's why I kept thinking, oh my god, do I want to have this doll? Like, maybe I would like to have her. But ultimately, she was $75, and I just could not justify spending that much money on a doll just for her hairstyle. Like, not that that takes away from how cool it is and anything like that. I just did not have the funds at the moment to be splurging like that, when the rest of the pieces that she comes with, it's not that I think they're ugly, but they're also not standout pieces to me. I'm not sitting here like I'm gonna die if I don't have this dress in my doll collection. You know what I'm saying? So I'm so glad that they executed her this way. I think she's a gorgeous doll. She's just not going to be in my doll room. Right. That brings us to the Dana fashion closet, and I have a lot of opinions, so buckle up, prepare for me to rant. Starting off, just looking at the doll, and then we'll look at the extra pieces that are displayed on either side. Personally, I hate the base doll. And that's almost never the case for me. I feel like I more often find myself saying, like I just did with Tyla, being like, oh my god, I love the base doll, but I'm not thrilled about the outfits, or the outfits are kind of whatever to me. That's much more often my opinion. I just think that Dana looks like a hot mess here. Specifically, the color of blonde that they have chosen for like her under dye really just reads to me like she tried to bleach out black box dye at home, and this is the result. And yes, I can say that from personal experience. My hair has, in fact, been this color very unintentionally and to my great detriment. And I just can't unsee that. Like, it's not her makeup that's the problem. The hair, the color they chose, I just think is so bad. I don't even think it would look that way if it wasn't right next to the black, right? Like, if her whole head was this sort of blonde, I honestly think that that could sort of work, but it's just when you put it right next to the black, I don't think it looks good. So right off the bat, not loving that. However, the dress she's wearing, I think, is obscenely fun. That is so cool. And I imagine that that like takes a decent amount of effort to actually craft and sew. So I'm very into that. I think that's super cool. However, when we go ahead and start looking at some of the accessories and stuff, starting on the left-hand side, they're fine. I believe that the top, like the top, oh my god. The long sleeve top and then the pink skirt, I think are like ooh la la pieces. They look very familiar to me. Then we have like a little PJ set and another black top on the bottom, which are fine. I believe these are reused shoes. And then on the other side, where we're getting more into the shoes and accessories, these are also mostly reused, if not entirely reused molds. And like, it's not that I inherently think that's a terrible thing. I personally, especially with Bratz clothing and shoes, I feel like they have so many shoes that are such staple basics that I don't mind having them in varying colors and also varying skin tones. Like, that's not necessarily a problem for me. But this thing is like $80. And so looking at this and thinking I don't like the base doll, and so much of the clothing and accessories that you get is reused. I don't mind when you reuse things again. Like, I even kind of like that sometimes, specifically when it comes to accessories and shoes, but you need to lower the price to account for that. If you're not giving me new shit, I'm not paying you a price tag that I would be paying for new shit. So I already was like aggravated about this, but also was like, I'll probably end up buying it on a sale or something because there are pieces that I would like to have. However, it then came to light via, I believe this was posted to a UK Amazon listing, this version of the Dana Fashion Closet, which is a presumed prototype. What the happened? How did we fall so far from grace? We had a better base doll with hair that doesn't look like a bad dye job, this unbelievable like robe situation with this crazy ruffle trim on the sleeves and all along the hemline looks incredible, and these super fun fashions on the side that to me look more unique. Like, knowing that we could have had this just makes me hate her so much more. And I know that's unfair. I know it's not technically Dana's fault, but it's just, again, it was something that I already wasn't super satisfied with the product, especially for the price tag. And then seeing what got apparently nixed in development being literally 200 times better than what we got. You probably will still catch me buying this on a clearance sale if it ever goes down low enough. But I will forever be pissed about this whole situation. Next up is the LOL OMG Hello Kitty Dollhouse, and I need to go off on just the most massive of tangents here real quick, so please bear with me. Pretty much all year, I have been toying with the idea of getting a dollhouse, which is news for me, okay? Just historically speaking, when I was very young kid, I did have the Barbie Swan Lake Castle. That's the only like dollhouse that I've ever owned in my life. And that was when I was a kid playing with dolls. That wasn't my collector era, right? Ever since I have been a doll collector, I have been very much a doll collector, not a playset collector and not a house collector. Not to say that I was like ever judging anyone who did like those things. I just was always so much more focused on the dolls and the characters and their hair and their fashion and all of that jazz. And I sort of had just always thought of playsets and houses as unnecessary accessories, perhaps things that just take up room that I could be using for more actual dolls. However, as I've gotten older and as my tastes have changed and my like collecting style has sort of evolved, I have really found myself enjoying the concept of props and play sets and even the idea of a dollhouse. And so I have been thinking about what sort of dollhouse I might want to get, right? You might know if you've been here for a while or even just for like a 2 video that I'm a very, very picky collector. And so I think it's no surprise that that pickiness extends into looking for a dollhouse that I would want. I know that I either want to display Monster High dolls or Bratz dolls in a dollhouse. Okay, so I have at least that criteria narrowed down, but I just cannot find a dollhouse that just exists, that I like everything about it, and that it would be fine as is, and that I would just like put together and put in my room and feel happy about it, right? Even the Monster High playsets, I think that some of them come close, but they're just not perfectly correct. So I'm saying that to just be like, I am fully aware. Like I've known pretty much from the beginning that whatever dollhouse I get, I am going to need to do some decently significant customizing to it to make it something that I'm proud to have in my doll room. The only thing that could maybe be an exception is the original Bratz pad, but that thing is like, it's never going to happen. That's like the holiest grail of holy grails. That thing is so hard to find complete and also so expensive, like so expensive if you can manage it. So like I know I'm never going to have that thing. So barring the Bratz pad, I just cannot find another dollhouse that I genuinely feel like, again, I would be fine just as is setting up in my room. So then it becomes, okay, what dollhouse has the best bones for me to customize? And when I'm talking about that, I'm thinking about things like the different rooms that might be included and also the layout and specifically the furniture that comes with the dollhouse. Like, I'm perfectly fine buying extra furniture or making extra furniture to really liven it up and like make it a more fun situation, but I would like for a dollhouse to come with at least some things that I don't hate, right? Like, I don't want to have to redo literally everything from scratch if I can help it. All of that being said, to bring it back to this LOLOMG house, I really was hoping that this might be like something, I don't know. When I first heard about this, it was just like in one of those text posts, like, hey, these are some upcoming things that you can be looking out for. And so I knew it was coming, and I was like holding out hope that perhaps this would be the one. This might be the one that is good enough to be a base for me. And it's not that I think that this is a terrible dollhouse. It's just it's not checking the boxes that I really want it to. I don't know. I can't even put my finger on exactly what it is, except for the fact that it somehow just feels rather empty. I don't know. The furniture feels like there is definitely a design there. I don't want to take that away from it, but it just feels unexciting and sort of lifeless. I think a lot of it is the fact that I very very strongly believe that if you have a bed or a couch or something, it should be plush. Like, I don't know. I really like when it comes to a dollhouse, I would like to see that at the very least. Like the bed, I can maybe forgive a plastic couch, but I really feel like the bed should have some softness to it so it isn't just this plastic rectangle with a sad little sheet of a blanket thrown over it. I don't know. I'm definitely rambling at this point, and again, we've gotten so far away from actually talking about this dollhouse in particular. But yeah, this just I had really high hopes, and unfortunately this is not going to work for me, so I'm not going to buy it. That being said, if y'all have suggestions in the comments down below for a dollhouse that would serve as a good base for me, please help. Please leave suggestions down below because I really think it would be so fun to do both for myself. Like as a collector, it's something that I really have been wanting behind the scenes, and I think it would be personally very fulfilling to get a dollhouse and like make it my own. But I also think it could be so fun to document that process for you all. So if you can help me get started with that down below, thank you. Anyway, now we can move on to the final dolls of this video and sort of get back on topic. Unfortunately, we are ending today's video on dolls that I'm really sad to be including in this video, and that is the Jakks Pacific Scooby-Doo, Daphne, and Velma dolls. We are looking at Daphne first. Now, the reason that these are so sad for me is because I feel like I very much was into Scooby-Doo as a kid. Like, when I think about cartoons that I was always excited to see pop up on television, Scooby-Doo is certainly one of them. Like, I remember watching the movies and just absolutely loving them. You know, it just feels like a piece of my childhood that I've really genuinely enjoyed. And so the idea of new Scooby-Doo dolls is so exciting to me, but I unfortunately am just not really the most pleased with how these have been executed. So starting off with the positive things, I love these little polka dot tights for Daphne. I think that's a very fun addition for her. I like that we're seeing a couple of different types of fabric on her dress because you very much could go with just a super basic dress, right? Like I like that we're zhuzhing it up just a little bit. However, I do think that her scarf situation, I don't know, something about that is just looking a little bit maybe off scale or just oddly executed. I am having trouble pinning down what I dislike about it, but it just doesn't look right and doesn't necessarily look the most quality to me. I do love this headband. I think that is super cute. And I love the Mystery Machine bag. That is absolutely adorable. But the killer is the face, unfortunately. I am sort of bad with like faces and face molds and that sort of thing with dolls. I don't know why. I just sometimes have a really hard time telling them apart. So I don't want to say this with any certainty, but to me, this looks like the exact same face as the DC dolls that Jack Specific recently did. And it just does not look like Daphne to me. I truly do not know how else to put it. This just, it looks like another character or another person dressing up as Daphne for Halloween, but it does not read as actually Daphne to me. There's just something facially about this just that doesn't fit, which is really sad to say. I don't know, perhaps if I'm feeling ultra nostalgic, if these go on clearance, like I might pick her up and maybe I could repaint her, maybe then I'd like her more. But as is, I just definitely could not pay full price for this doll when I am not super thrilled with how like her face and everything turned out, because that's such an important part of it all, right? It's like if the face looks right. So unfortunately, Daphne did not quite hit for me, and Velma did not hit either. Now, I do just want to say right off the bat, I don't want to hear jack shit about her skin tone in the comments. That is not a problem that I have about this doll. And personally, I think you're a little weird if you do have a problem with the fact that she has a darker skin tone. That being said, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is her Scooby bag. This thing is literally textured to look like leather. And it's not as though it's like one of those sort of like novelty bags that's shaped like Scooby's head or something. That I think could have been cute because it would have very obviously just been like a representation of Scooby, right? Like just a fun little Easter egg, so to speak. This is like a normal bag shape. like like you will see, if you go outside, you will see people carrying this bag even in this color, just the brown. But because we've added the spots, this really truly looks like someone slaughtered Scooby-Doo and turned him into a bag. And I think that was a bizarre choice, especially considering the Mystery Machine bag for Daphne is so much better executed. Like it definitely is giving more of like a novelty, fun, quirky bag that is obviously not like, oh, it's the literal Mystery Machine shrunken down. Like Daphne just has a fun bag. Why did Velma kill Scooby? What is happening here? I do have the same problems with the face, although I will say because she has the glasses, I do think that her face is sort of obscured, which maybe you should consider a bad thing, but I honestly think that it makes the face look maybe less terrible. The first thing though, and the other killer along with the Scooby bag for me, the first thing that I noticed upon looking at this doll was the sweater that she's wearing, specifically the fact that we already have like a sort of knit looking fabric and they have printed on cable knit on top of it. And it just looks so cheap and so sad. So again, it's just like, I really want to love this, especially as someone who feels like I relate more to Velma. I mean, as a kid, it was on a very superficial level. Like, oh, I also am so unable to see without my glasses. Like, if I lose my glasses, it really truly is a Velma situation where if I can't find them, we are cooked because I can't see anything. But also, just like being a little bit more on like the book smart side of things. I don't know. I relate to Velma and I like her as a character. And so I'm so sad that like they just gave her this shitty ass sweater. I want her to look good. So again, perhaps if these go on a super clearance, then I could just again repaint the face and give her a different sweater and just remove the Scooby bag from the equation entirely. And then it would be fine because her skirt actually looks so good. And I even like the scarf and the socks and everything. Like there are good elements to this doll. Just why did we do that? Why did we do that? So unfortunately, it is like I would say mainly a quality and a facial issue when it comes to the Scooby-Doo dolls that are preventing them from entering my collection at least full price. But with that, we have concluded today's episode of Dolls I Don't Want. I feel like this was a little bit more of a manageable number. Sometimes I forget to make one of these for too long, and then it's like, you've got $30 to talk about. But I feel like this was a good amount of like food for thought. So let me know what you think of all the dolls that we discussed today. Once again, please help me with my dollhouse prompt. But other than that, I do hope you guys are able to enjoy the video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.